It's not about making money. That's what Nicole says, Lynn. I want my labor of love to be making money as well, but you know, what can you do? All right. Thanks for joining me.
I'm so happy to be here. This is really fun.
Yeah, and remind me of your dog's name again.
Oh, his name is
Art. Is Art a labor of love for you, Lynn?
No. Because I was thinking about that when someone wrote cat parenting, and I was thinking, wait, maybe dog walking is a labor of love, but I like taking him for walks. I really enjoy it. And to me, a labor of love is something that you do because you have to. And I don't know. I mean, for me, it's not, there's like no resentment, but it's maybe not my first choice every time I'm doing, or not my first choice, but like it's a challenge.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
When things are challenging, I mean, there's such a thing as something that's challenging, but you love it and you don't mind the labor. And then there's other things where it's grueling. Yeah, a little grueling.
Yeah. Like parenting can be grueling. It can be.
That's right.
Moments. But you don't like go, well, I didn't know. I don't remember thinking like, I wish I weren't doing this.
Right. Or you'd never admit it.
Or maybe I can't, or maybe I just like conveniently forgot those moments.
It's all in retrospect. Well, are you ready to doodle?
I'm ready to doodle.
Okay.
I took my dog down. He was all like, people are having a party out back, and he was bothered. Yeah.
We have some people who just moved in next door, and I think we might hear. It's a family. I think they're actually pretty quiet. It's so quiet here. You can actually hear the. You can hear the. Hold on. I'm gonna. This is the room. And I'm gonna.
Is that kid over there?
That's kid over. And I'm just setting up my arm. Here, my little mechanical arm.
Okay, wait, should I do that too?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I distract people with my lovely partner.
Okay.
While I set up my arm.
So now I'm gonna.
Jeez.
Well,
this is the part that's very graceful.
I thought you had it down to a science, Ryan.
I do. Some days I do, and some days I don't. Or some Fridays I do, and some Fridays I don't. Those of you who are joining a little later, and you're wondering, and you're new, and you're wondering what is going on, first of all, Doodle with Me is a 30-minute program where we doodle and talk aimlessly. And just to define doodling, at least for me, I just make marks and I don't really worry about what happens. And in terms of tonight's show, it's with Linn Meyers, and we are on the road. So I'm actually in Pagwitch, Utah. Thanks everybody for joining. If you'd like, grab a paper and some pencil and join the fun.
It's so funny to doodle in the studio. I never doodle in the studio.
Yeah, I actually doodle in the studio to start working.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, I started doing that once I started Doodle with Me. I realized that I needed to relax before working, and it was helping me relax to doodle. And then I started to understand that doodling was also helping me to think about composition in different ways than I was. And so, yeah, it's become like a little practice.
Wait, can you explain that? Like, how does it help you think about composition differently?
Because when when I'm making my my work, it's very slow, and so and I think about, and I tend to create a center of a center of like a focus in the center of the work. And with doodling, I don't create focuses in the center of the page, and so it helps me kind of loosen up a little bit about that kind of stuff. That
Oh,
makes
that's
sense.
interesting.
Yeah. I also work a lot faster as a doodler, and that's been really helpful for me to kind of not overthink what I do.
Yeah, so
Um,
that's what I was curious about is because I was thinking when you asked me to do this with you, I was like, you know, I had to like define doodle for myself.
yeah,
And um and so then I was thinking, well, it's drawing kind of aimlessly, making marks without like thinking about it.
yeah,
And which I usually only do if I'm on the telephone.
right. That's why the talking is so important, because
Yeah.
because then otherwise I think, although sometimes it's helpful to not talk for some people. I find that it's sometimes hard to doodle and talk at the same time. And other times it's like great. So yeah.
Wait, so when you start doodling in your studio as this sort of like um, doorway into your practice,
Mm-hmm.
do you talk on the phone or?
No, no, it's just quiet. So so it is a little bit more like drawing, I guess you could say, but it's fast drawing, and
Fast.
I don't really care about what it ends up looking like. I mean, I kind of do, because you know, I'm a freak, you know. Everything has to look good.
Because you're an artist.
Yeah. Yeah, I should stop saying I'm a freak. I should just start saying I'm an artist, but then I get worried that I'm saying it like I'm Lady Gaga or something. Not that she's not an artist, no one get offended, but it's more kind of like it's a different kind of thing. So
That's funny. I was thinking the other day about like when I started calling myself an artist.
oh yeah,
When did you, so like you
I
don't
don't.
like, you don't feel comfortable referring to yourself that way?
I'm still trying to get used to it, because I've been administrator for so long, and that's kind of been my identity. And so,
Uh-huh.
but it's not the identity I want.
Uh-huh.
Okay, they're saying I can't see yours very well. Maybe that's
Mine or
Tom.
yours?
Maybe you need to light yours a little bit more,
Oh, I can do that. That's a good idea. Here, let me see if this does it.
or a little closer. Now, let's also just remind folks that this is not a spectator sport, and that we are not here to entertain you with our labor, because we love it, and our job is to love it.
Is that better? Can you see that?
Ask Tom. I can see it. I see the graph that you're working, the grid you're working on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's so interesting, Ryan, that you don't, because to me,
I
being an
don't.
artist isn't like it doesn't, it's the kind of a identity that you can assign yourself. You know,
Yeah.
like to be an administrator, you could say you're an administrator, but if you don't have a job doing that, then
Yeah. So right now, so like you said, like right now, I don't have a job doing that. So basically, I better call myself an artist, because there's no other identity I can have right now. You know, I mean, it basically comes down to, I've been forced through life circumstances to become an artist, kicking and screaming on the way there.
Oh, that's ridiculous, though.
I've been avoiding it for 25 years, Lynn.
Okay, well, you know what? I always think of you as an artist because I live with an artwork that you gave me that I love so much.
Thank you very much. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
it enriches my life every day.
Yeah, well, thank you. So that's nice to hear. And yes, and I need to work on it a little bit more. And I think a lot of times it's because I've I've worked around a lot of heavy hitters, you know, supposedly
Yeah,
in the art world. And
yeah,
so my idea of what it means to be either successful or have that title is pretty warped, you know.
right.
But at the same time, you know, I'm very grateful for it, and it's been a great learning experience. Just working with folks who are at that point in their career. So, yeah, it's more than a esteem thing, you know. I'm working on it. But it
Mm-hmm.
also too, I mean, I think we talked about it. It's also kind of like sometimes you can't figure out your practice. Like you're not, you know, maybe you're not making a sculpture, maybe you're not making a painting, maybe you're doing a 30-minute show on Instagram. I mean, you know, and maybe that is the work. And if that's fine to say this is the work, and I think about it in a serious sort of way, and you know,
I mean,
that
isn't that like what I don't know, it seems like that idea was introduced in the 20th century and it like opened up so much space,
yeah, yeah,
you know,
completely.
to
And I
call.
think it, yeah, I think some people are still, you know, trying to figure out, you know, how do you talk about it?
How
Um,
you talk about calling yourself an artist, how you talk about.
how you talk about practices that aren't studio based, or practices that are
Yeah.
use audiences. And I think that that's still something that maybe, you know, I think people are definitely doing, and there's a lot of respect for it. But at the same time, it's not as easily recognizable, I guess, you know, as something that is an object that one could sell, you know.
I mean, definitely like outside of the art world,
Mm-hmm.
like, no, nobody would get that.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
know, I don't know. I think we're kind of used to it. We're kind of
Yes.
used to, you know, people calling anything that they do art, and then
Yeah.
it's fine with me. I don't have a problem with it. But, you
Yeah.
know, like the average person on the street might be like, no, art is painting and making sculpture
Right.
or
Right.
something like
Yeah.
that.
And it's usually something that is laborious in a way that they may not be able to do. I mean, that's the other thing about the labor part. You know, you'll see, notice now and then I bring it back to the theme. But you know, that it has something to do with labor. Like, you can show your labor with a drawing by how many marks you put on the page, right? So I'm
Yeah.
putting a lot of marks on the page so people know I've spent time and that I'm putting care into it. But they may not be able to notice that, like with a ready-made, or you know, with something that's like more that doesn't show that kind of labor, and so they don't know. So there's a little bit of a like, oh, you know, artist is gypsy or con artist or something. You know?
You know what's so funny is,
And I know that sounds kind of conservative in a way when I'm saying that, but yeah,
no,
whatever
but
works
you
for me.
know, I never even thought about it. Like, a friend of mine told me, I don't know if she's on here right now, but she told me that people think that artists are stupid.
Uh-huh.
I had never heard that before. And then she told me this thing, dumb as a painter.
Oh,
Have you
dumb as
heard
a
that?
painter. Yeah.
Yeah, I had never heard that before. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Well, that's just because you're dumb, Lynn.
For sure.
I mean, I
But
think that there's a lot of academic language going around the art world just to prove how not dumb we are. You know, I think that's a chip on a lot of
yeah,
people's shoulders, you know.
I'm not
At
sure
this,
that's going to help.
yeah, kind of not making friends. But it's an interesting thing, you know. I mean, how do you take, for that's what I've been trying to think about, is like, how do you take positive, I mean, how do you take kind of negative stereotypes, or and kind of put a positive spin on them, you know? And maybe there's not, maybe a dumbness, there is a certain kind of, people might call it dumb, but there is a certain kind of attention to simplicity, attention to feeling, attention to like our sensations, or you know, that is a kind of intelligence that we need to celebrate, as opposed to, you know, that I can operate on someone's knee or whatever.
Yeah, or maybe like turning it on its head, maybe like a lack of attention to certain things that are normative, like
Mm-hmm.
attention to wealth. Like attention to wealth is not something that most artists have.
Could you tell me a little more about that, Lynn? What are you thinking with
Well,
that?
I'm just thinking like most people don't become artists to become wealthy.
Right.
Whereas like people, I'm sure there are plenty of attorneys who have followed that route because of a fascination with the law or wanting to do good work, or but there are also probably a lot of people whose families were like, this is going to be, you
Mm-hmm.
know, a solid space for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you
Yeah.
won't have to worry.
Right. Right. Well, they don't want to
And
have to worry is really what it is too. Because
yeah,
if you,
there's that also.
yeah, I don't think, I mean, would you want your son to become an artist?
That's actually a question that I've asked myself, and you know, like because at one point he said he wanted to be an artist, and I kind of took this deep breath. I mean, I didn't like it wasn't visible, but you know, and then he changed his mind, which at that point I was like, okay, is it that I've demonstrated something that
Right.
like freaks you out, you know, or like is that did I cause that change of heart? Because in actuality, you know, people talk about what a hard life it is, and I mean, I see that, but I also think anybody who's meant to be an artist would be living a much harder life if they were trying to take a different route.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, like
I
if
mean,
they were trying to be a lawyer.
right. No, I completely agree. I mean, I think it's an interesting thing when there's something that feels basic to your nature, and then you kind of are ignoring it. Over time, you might get sick, or you might find you getting injuries or health problems, or mentally, I mean,
Yeah.
you kind of, I mean, what is it? Isn't that in ancient Greece? There's like the fates or something, like you have the gods choose your fates. Do you believe in fate?
Um, oh, that's an excellent question. I'm not sure I do. I'm not sure I do. Do you believe in fate?
I think it's a cool idea, but I'm kind of happy that I don't completely believe in it. I'll I'll tell you why, because I'd like to think that I have freedom of choice, but I
Yeah.
have noticed that I keep ending back at certain things in my life.
Wait,
So
like what? Is that too private?
I don't even know how to explain it just yet. So I shouldn't have even said that. But I do find
Hmm.
that I do find that I'm, it's kind of like you break up with someone and you find, well, I'm having I've got to deal with this because it's going to come up in my relationships until I do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a little like that. It's a little like there's things that go on with my career that I've I've got to figure out, and that it'll just keep coming around until I figure it out. I can't,
Yeah.
you can't blame other people at some point, because there's something that just keeps happening until you kind of figure it out. I
Right,
guess that's like a
right.
psychological thing to say, but
Yeah, well, patterns are patterns.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Speak,
Hmm.
and not to change the subject, but in terms of patterns, I can't believe the patterns in nature out here. We're in Utah, and we came through Arizona, and I was just like blown away by like what the wind and what the what like water can do just to rock. It's pretty amazing.
It's so beautiful. I saw some of your pictures and some of Linda's pictures.
It's very hard to photograph the Grand Canyon.
It's basically impossible
It is
because
so,
it's like the air and it's like the atmosphere than more than just the surround.
yeah, yeah, completely. There's something going on that is just impossible. And the funny thing about it is that I'm like, you know, um, I like artifice, and it's kind of funny to me, you know, like, oh, let's make fun of nature and put up a, you know, a bad postcard instead of a, you know, instead of like taking a picture of the Grand Canyon. I mean, why even try, kind of thing. But at the same time, I'm standing in front of it and I cannot believe it's not a matte painting. I mean, I'm just like, this has been, this painting, this giant, humongous painting has been done like by the most amazingly technical artists I've ever seen. And then you're like, wait a second, this is real and it's not flat. It's just like,
Isn't it? Wait,
yeah.
have you been there before, or was this your first time?
I went there before. I went there before, but I'm experiencing it differently now. Yeah.
I mean, I've been there 3 times.
Oh, wow. That makes sense with your work.
Oh, God, I love that place so much. I mean, it really is, like, you can understand why, you know, it's kind of sacred. It feels that way to me. But each time, I mean, some of it is also the weather. Like one time I went in the winter and it was insane weather, like kind of a whiteout.
Oh, interesting.
And it was frightening. And of course, like the first thing I did when I arrived was I went to see if there were any like ranger tops. I was with my kid.
Oh, yeah.
And we went to go see if there were any ranger tops. And there was this ranger top, like it was titled something like "Death in Grand Canyon" or something. And it was like they showed slides of like the last pictures that people took before their loved one like backed up off a cliff and went and yeah, it was so dark.
You know, it's hard not to think about that. I mean, the experience that I had looking into it was that I thought, oh, I'm scared I'm gonna fall, and then I'm like, no, I'm scared I'm gonna jump, and then I was like, no, I'm scared that I'm just gonna like gravity will stop working and I will be swallowed by a giant cosmic, you know, abyss.
Yeah.
And totally. Yet it's so beautiful. Why not? Go for it. And then it was like, oh my God, don't think those thoughts. You know, so.
Okay, wait. There's a word for that. Have you been to Niagara Falls? Because I looked up the word for that last time I was in Niagara Falls.
Is it like awe or is it something a little more?
No, it's something else. I don't know. It's like, it's in my Instagram somewhere because I posted a picture of Niagara Falls and I had to look up the word. But it's a, like that weird feeling that you get that's almost like, I'm going to jump. I can't help it. Like I have to be a part of this. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. It's a little, I mean, I grew up by the ocean and the ocean had that for me too, which is, it's like there's a power there and it's like unfathomable and also it has something to do with scale. Like I cannot figure out the scale of things close to me and far from me. So whether it's a flattening for me or it's just nuts. And actually it freaked me out. But you know, it's fine because I just kept looking and I dealt with it. But
and you didn't go in.
No, I didn't. No, I'm still here.
It's cold up there though, huh?
Yeah, it is. I wrote it down. I think it's going to be about 53 right now. It's not that cold really, but for someone in Tucson, it's lovely and refreshing and great.
Yeah. And and the light must have been beautiful.
The light is very beautiful. We saw it at sunset and during the day, and the sunset is great. The colors are great. Everything was great.
I love that.
But I just like, but at the same time, kind of unfathomable still. Like I kept looking at it, and after a while, it's just like I can't take it in, you know.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's been really interesting to revisit it, and to I mean, I tried to be all analytical about it, and then I just gave up. I was just like, I'm not going to figure this out. Like, there's no mathematical theory that's going to help me figure out why this is affecting me. Just be affected, you know? So
Wait,
it was cool.
but that's so interesting that you actually like attempted that.
Well, there's something mathematical about it because of the striations. And there is a weird kind of geometry to the Grand Canyon. And you're just like, but it's interesting. It was like, and I was like, is my brain doing this so that I can feel more comfortable? Or is it actually that, yeah, it's just so strange because we've looked at, like, Bryce Canyon is much more jumbled, and it's all kinds of, you know, weird angles, and, you know, like nature's kind of haunted house kind of looking. And the
scale is entirely different.
The scale's different, and I could handle it in a different sort of way. It didn't, like, it kind of blows your mind, but it blows your mind like Fantasyland as opposed to like scary.
Yeah.
There is actually a part of the park at Bryce called Fairyland, and we didn't go. But I was kind of curious, like, Fairyland, why are they naming it these things? It's interesting, the people that name these different points and stuff. Yeah.
Maybe it was to try and get children excited about their parents dragging them around.
How was it? What was it? So, did you find that you had to kind of change the way you experienced it with a kid and without a kid, and how was it different?
Well, a lot of the time that I went with Shep, he was little. I think he was like around 9 or 10. And it was snowing, and it was really cold, and the people coming out, you know, of course, it's always like 55 degrees down at the bottom or whatever.
Right.
So there were people coming up who had been camping. But I don't know how they were coming up. It looked really treacherous. I mean, the trail was icy. We actually had to buy chains to put on our sneakers so that we could even hike there. And so it was that time, I think I was like, I'm very interested in weather. And so I was like really engaged with the weather.
Yeah.
Then the first time I went with my college boyfriend, and we hiked down to the river and back in a day.
Wow.
And trying to remember, I think that time I was more focused on the light.
Yeah.
And then the time in between, I went with my then husband, with Danny, and we hiked down to the bottom and back up again. And at the time, I was a marathoner, so I was in really good shape, and I was like sprinting. So that time, it was. I feel like I focused more on the like the challenge.
Yeah. Wow, interesting.
And actually, I could not walk the next day. Like,
oh, was it your knees or?
No, I was still young. It wasn't my knees. It was like my muscles. I had really overtaxed my muscles. Like, I literally, we stayed in this like cheesy little motel. In order to get to the bathroom in the morning, like, I wasn't even tired when we came up out of the canyon. And then in order to get to the bathroom in the morning, I had to use my hands on the furniture to like.
Oh, I've been like that after dance class.
Oh my God.
Where I'm just like, I cannot, like, I'm a dancer right now, but I cannot move. You know? And I was just like, why did I do that? And it was because I was jumping up and down on an unsprung floor. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, but we were, you know, modern dance. You got to just throw your body around, and it was, you know, it was Butoh inspired. So we were kind of doing other stuff.
I don't think I remembered that you were a dancer.
That's a part of me you don't know about.
I don't know about that. Can you tell me about that?
Just a little bit, because we're actually at the end of our time together.
And
Yeah, I was. It came up actually last. It actually came up last time too. I was part of a performance collective, but I did a lot of. I took a lot of dance classes, and I also performed with for choreographers. I usually was like the person they would go to who was like an untrained dancer, like I didn't go to school for it. That kind of
uh-huh.
thing. So, but I took a lot of Butoh classes. It was called Body Weather, and I
Oh,
believe it was started by a Japanese teacher, Min Tanaka, and it's a whole 3-hour class, you know, and I used to do it on a regular basis. And when I was in New York, I did it too, but I kind of stopped once I moved to DC.
I think I read about that kind of dance in a New Yorker article once.
Yeah, people know it because they powder themselves with you know, with powder, and yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I've never seen it performed.
It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. It's very it's abstract. It's got an
Mhm.
abstract, you know, it's abstract. But actually the way that technique I learned is that you took mental images and you kind of imagined things, and those things that you imagined were actually, you performed them. So for instance, I would have my arms in a cloud of fog. I'd have a bee in my left leg, and then I'd be trying to move around with giant binoculars over my eyes, and that was the image. That and that was. Now, do you understand why I am the way I am?
Oh my God, that explains so much to me. I
So
love that. Is
so
it, wait, I have a quick question about it though.
okay,
Like,
okay. Then we got to go
is
though.
it, okay, this is so fascinating though. But is it, do you think that it's more for the performer or more for the audience?
The audience doesn't real. I mean, these are exercises, and I don't know. I'm trying to think during performances. I mean, I did do performances with Melinda Ring, who no longer I mean, she was doing some Butoh inspired, or that technique inspired kind of work way back when I was dancing, and we did use them in some of the dances we did. But I don't think the audience needed to know it. They were more like, there's also something called transpersonal acting, which does the same kinds of things. They're images that you use that help you kind of get into a state of mind that create, it's almost like a backstory, if you could think about it, for an actor.
That's so interesting because I wonder how much that impacts, like that training affects the work that you do now, like even this that we're doing tonight.
I have no idea. I do know that it helped me with my accessing the unconscious, and that was important to me.
Uh-huh.
You know, and it made me more democratic in terms of like not thinking art needs to look like this, dance needs to look like this, but thinking like it can be anything, and you can trick yourself into doing new and interesting things, you know. So that's kind of how. So I guess what stuck with me is I do like to trick myself into try so that I don't get too self-conscious, you know.
I mean, it's interesting because it's a, in a way, it can be a burden to have that much openness,
Yeah.
but it's also, the horizons are so expansive when you
Yeah.
work that way.
Yeah. I think so. I think so. It's, yeah. I think that we just started I think we started a new theme, Lynn, and we're going to have to do it. We're going to have to continue at another
I
time.
mean, I love this so much. I love this conversation. It makes me feel like I've like talking to you. Sometimes I end up feeling like I've lived this like really boring life.
What? What?
Well, just
You have
because like,
not. You
oh
have
my
not.
God, I want to live like I want to get more and more chances because there's so much to do.
It's true. It's true. And thank you. You're helping me, you know, not throw myself into the Grand Canyon. So I appreciate that. But no. And Lynn, think about all the times you have moved as much as I have moved. So let's
Yes.
be honest. You've tasted life's many fruits.
It's true. I mean, you know, compared to the average person on this planet, I have already had the opportunity to live many lives. It's true.
Yeah, you've been
Yeah.
reinvented and done all kinds of things. So
Yes.
yes. So yeah. So I'm going to actually flip my camera back around and
Okay. I'll do the same thing.
yeah. And thank you for doodling with me. And oh, here we go. Yay!
That was so fun.
That was fun. So it's lovely to talk with you,
Yes.
and just thanks for sharing your Friday night in the studio with me. I appreciate that.
That was great.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so now I just have to make an announcement to everybody. So I wrote it down. So if you're joining Doodle with me right now, this is kind of boring. It's like a commercial for Doodle with me. If you're joining Doodle with me right now, just know that it's 30 minutes and it starts on the hour at 6 Pacific Standard Time and 9 Eastern Standard Time, and anywhere in between. We love having people here when we talk when we talk, and we hope that you got some good doodles out of it. And if you ever want to send them, just DM them to me. At some point I'll get a collection together and I'll post them somewhere. Just trying to figure out exactly how to do that. But if you don't, that's okay too. We just love that. So next Friday, I will be meeting with Kev Nemelka, and Kev and I will be talking about the theme queering beauty. So what is queer beauty? How do we queer beauty? we're gonna solve that for you, so that you come out next Friday being the queerest kind of beauty that you can possibly be. No, I don't know. But anyway, thanks again, and have a great night and a great week, everybody. And from Pagwitch, Utah, thanks for joining.
Safe travels, Ryan.
Thank
Bye.
you very much. Bye. Mwah.